The man had taken 30 flights in a single day, yet still felt it wasn't enough. Each time the plane landed, he would slam on the accelerator, racing madly toward the city. He was in a desperate race against time, because he knew that his only daughter would die in a car accident within the next 2 hours. That day was his daughter Ellie's birthday. Because of work, he hadn't been able to make it home in time. Upset, Ellie sent him a message saying she would wait for him at the school gate, refusing to answer his calls out of spite. When he finally reached the school, he witnessed a horrific accident. A taxi had struck a pedestrian. As a doctor, his instincts kicked in and he rushed to the scene. He found that the female passenger was already dead, while the driver was on the verge of death. After performing emergency treatment on the driver, he turned to call Ellie, but the moment he dialed, he realized in horror, the victim lying dead was his own daughter. Suddenly, Tom jolted awake on a plane, drenched in cold sweat. Thankfully, it was just a dream, yet everything around him felt eerily familiar. Even the exact words of his companion matched the dream. He turned his head and saw a mother with her young son. Sure enough, the boy began choking on a lollipop. Tom rushed over and saved him, exactly as it had happened in the dream. Tom then understood he was trapped in a time loop, and Ellie was once again in danger. He drove as fast as he could to the accident site, but still arrived too late. Ellie was already lying in a pool of blood. When the loop reset, Tom sprinted to the parking lot. On the way, he snatched the boy's lollipop to prevent the accident, yet Ellie still refused to answer his calls. He sped through traffic, only to be caught in a jam, helplessly watching Ellie being carried away. In another loop, he chose a side road, but in his haste crashed into the roadside. Limping to the scene, he found Ellie's body was already gone. After repeated failures, Tom decided to prevent the accident altogether. He wrote down the taxi driver's number. In the next loop, he called the driver, Jack, only to be dismissed as a lunatic. Rushing toward the construction road, he witnessed Ellie being struck again. Tom collapsed in despair. Just then, a young man named Will grabbed hold of him. Will revealed that he, too, was trapped in the loop. The woman who died in the taxi was his wife. They realized they were both loopers. Determined to uncover the truth, they joined forces. They discovered that, like Ellie, Will's wife had also refused to answer calls in anger. To protect Ellie, Tom used a live television broadcast to ask her to meet him at the park. Ellie saw the news and called him back. But before he could reach her, Jack called, and when Tom turned around, a taxi was already rushing toward him. When Will arrived, he noticed bruises on his wife's neck. She hadn't died in the crash, Jack had strangled her on purpose. Tom finally understood. Jack, too, was in the loop, and all the crashes had been deliberate. It all traced back to a rainy night 3 years earlier. Will, distracted while driving, nearly caused an accident. But the real victims were a father and son in the oncoming car. The boy died instantly, and his father was gravely injured. The boy's attending physician had been Tom. At that time, Tom's daughter was critically ill with heart disease and in urgent need of a transplant. Seeing the boy, Tom gave in to temptation. Without the family's consent, he forged the organ donation papers and secretly saved Ellie's life. Ever since, Tom had been tormented by guilt. But Jack, the boy's father, was consumed with hatred, determined to take revenge. That was the original sin binding the three men to this endless day. In another loop, Tom once again saved the choking boy, then went straight to the crash site. This time, instead of Ellie, he confronted Jack directly and took him to a clinic, injecting him with adrenaline. Tom begged for forgiveness, but Jack was obsessed with revenge. He swore that Tom would remain trapped forever and that Ellie would never escape. Jack died once again, and Tom was pinned to the ground by arriving police. Yet this time, Tom noticed something new. The loop had extended by half an hour. Jack's death, he realized, was the true trigger of the cycle. Meanwhile, Will discovered in his wife's diary that she had regular prenatal checkups on that very day each month. He rushed to the hospital and found her there. To protect her, he got into the taxi in her place, but Jack threw him out of the car. Jack drove furiously toward the intersection, but Will's delay gave Tom time to arrive. Tom rammed his car into the taxi, flipping it over and rescuing Ellie. After calming his daughter, he rushed to pull Jack from the wreck. "Why would you save me?" Jack asked. Tom replied, "Because your son lives on in my daughter. He would want you to keep living." Just as Tom dragged Jack out, Will, covered in wounds, drove a car straight toward them, intent on avenging his wife. Tom stopped him, but in the struggle, Will stabbed him with a knife. The stab finally jolted Will back to his senses. Bleeding heavily, Tom still clung to Will, refusing to let him harm Jack. He confessed that everything had been his fault, and that his death could end the loop. His heartfelt remorse moved Jack to tears. Jack walked toward the little girl. She did not flinch. Instead, it was as if she heard a voice calling her daddy. Leaking gasoline ignited, and flames spread quickly. Jack quietly shielded the girl with his own body. With a deafening explosion, Tom once again awoke on the plane. But this time, there was a genuine smile on his face. The once vengeful driver had finally let go of his hatred and begun a new life.